Welcome everyone to our session. It's great to see so many of you ready to hear how to build apps that your business needs with AppMaker. There are a few of us here to cover our topics today. Christian Schalk, a devoted developer advocate, working with many of you to get your apps up and running. I'm Geva. I'm the product manager for the last year and a half of AppMaker. And also with us are two of our many impressive customers that will join me for a panel to showcase the apps they have built for their businesses with AppMaker and talk about the journey they've had. First and most important, AppMaker launched last month and is now generally available. So we're really happy about that and proud. TechCrunch and others in the press have covered the launch. And after quite some time in our early adopter program, while collecting a lot of feedback from participating customers and working hard to build an enterprise-grade product, we're out. We'd really like to thank all of our early adopters for believing in the product, using it, and providing us with lots of feedback and learnings. That was very valuable, so thank you. A quick recap from last year for those of you who were here seeing us then at the last Next. AppMaker has launched as a G Suite additional service. While we are still working to ensure that AppMaker meets the high standards required of a G Suite core service, we launched it as an additional service so more customers can take advantage of the service right now. AppMaker is now available to all G Suite business and enterprise customers. It's also available to G Suite for education customers. We announced two significant features with the launch. One is that Google Cloud SQL is now supported as the default database, automatically created for every AppMaker app. But you can still bring your own database and connect to it using JDBC or REST API. The second feature is that G Suite admins now have oversight on the activity and usage of AppMaker in their companies. Today, we can share some of our usage numbers, showing a steady growth from last year. All these numbers are monthly active. So we have over 1,200 domains, companies that are actively using AppMaker every month, with over 3,000 apps and overall 50,000 users. We're also proud to have active customers across the globe in many, many countries, and you can see them marked on this globe map. Our talk today will highlight the basics of building a business app with AppMaker. We'll then invite our customers to a panel in which they'll present their apps and experience with AppMaker. Following that, we'll share some of our roadmap with you. And finally, open the floor to questions from the audience. Let's start with a quick reminder of how to use AppMaker to build a business app. We like to show this in 5 simple steps. The first one is to define your data model and connect to the data sources. This is most commonly done with Sheet. We recommend Google Sheets. And you can import the whole table structure into the SQL database that's automatically created for your app. Once the data model for the app is defined, you can go ahead to the second step, and that's designing your UI. This is when you can use widgets from the palette that comes with the product and drag and drop them to design what your web pages in the app are going to look like. The third step is to bind the data to the UI elements and trigger in-app events. This is the stage where we actually construct the internal logic of the app and define what is the flow inside the app, what happens when different actions are taken by the users. The fourth stage is defining roles. We'll see later how different apps have different types of users who can do different things in the app. And the final stage is when you preview your app, you can make changes and fixes, and then publish it in your domain. It's then available to all the users who are defined in it in the domain. At Google, we are committed to providing our best available services and principles with AppMaker. From Google, you get Cloud SQL, the new Maps API, and Material Design version 2. We will continue to roll out seamless integration of other Google services. And this is on top of the G Suite services, APIs, that can be accessed easily from AppMaker today. Gmail, Calendar, Docs, etc. As an open platform, you can bring your own database and connect to any service accessible by JDBC or a REST API. You can customize your UI with adding CSS and HTML, as well as native JavaScript to your app. Finally, we are committed to provide admins with ways to view and control usage of AppMaker apps in their G Suite, in your G Suite domains. Once your G Suite admin associates a Google Cloud SQL instance with a domain, AppMaker automatically creates a SQL database for every app created. It is also possible to specify any other Google Cloud SQL instance to be used with any specific AppMaker app. In order to use Google Cloud SQL, your domains need to have a GCP account. Using SQL as the app database provides full manageability, such as backup and restore of the database, high performance, and most importantly for apps, you can easily scale as the usage grows by upgrading your Google Cloud SQL instance. From the G Suite Admin Console, G Suite administrators now have visibility over the apps running in their organization, including owners who built the app, usage metrics, how many users are using the apps, and OAuth permissions. Expanded OAuth whitelisting means that administrators will also be able to prevent apps from running without their prior approval. Now I'd like to move over to the second part of our talk, where we'll take a look at what customers are building with AppMaker. As I've mentioned earlier, we already have 1,200 companies using apps they built with AppMaker, including Fortune 500 companies and many educational institutions globally. Our customers typically build apps to support their line of business. We see this across many verticals, such as retail, mobile operators, and the gaming entertainment industry, where AppMaker apps are built to make business processes work in better ways and contribute to these businesses' success. The other type of apps that we see that are very popular in many companies are apps that streamline operations and workflows. And we'll hear more about those types of apps in our session on Thursday, so you're all invited. I'd now like to invite two of our top customers, each with thousands of users of AppMaker apps, to come to the stage and showcase some of those apps. Please welcome Catherine Breda from Veolia, France, and Cleo Spiritu from ATB Financial, Canada. Welcome, Catherine and Cleo. Let's start with you, Catherine. Tell us about Veolia and your role, please.
Okay, so hello, everybody. My name is Catherine Breda. I've been working for Veolia for almost 10 years, and since last year, I'm the application transformation team leader. I will explain a little bit later. A few words about Veolia. Veolia is a global company providing environmental services, specifically in water treatment, waste management, and energy services. The headquarters is based in France, near Paris.
Cleo, what does ATB do and what do you do there?
So my name is Cleo. I'm a business analyst with ATB Financial. We are a Canadian financial institute based out of the province of Alberta. We have over 5,000 employees, and last year we made the transition to G Suite as part of an initiative called Work Reimagined. And the point of that is to have our team members reimagine how they work and collaborate with each other. With that, we became early adopters of AppMaker, which is great timing because everyone is trying to understand the capability of G Suite and how they can change their work. I was a product manager for this initiative, and my job was to promote and educate the use of AppMaker and bring my software development background to it.
Could you tell us about business problems that you ran into that you decided to solve with AppMaker?
Sure. Today, I would like to go through a few of the apps that our team members have made, and they're generally line of business apps and workflow applications that we use in our day-to-day process. So our first use case is a very simple one, but a very important one, is managing a repository of information or data that's not managed by our core software. So generally, these starts as spreadsheets, which once you get to a larger amount of data, once there's more concurrent users trying to view and edit the same data set, it becomes a bit cumbersome. So take this lender limits application, for example. So all our team members who can approve and grant loans are assigned a limit, which is managed by branch managers. This used to be in a spreadsheet, which it's not very intuitive or easy to use. So with AppMaker, with very simple tables and form widgets, we're able to build an application that holds all these lender limits in a single source of truth. People can search through them, and with the role-based security features, we're able to lock down the add and edit functionalities to only the branch managers and to the right people who needs it. Next example is our appointment booking application. So this is used by our client care call center. And in general, there's about 1,000 calls a month they handle that results in a client booking an appointment with a branch member. And in the past, our client care call center staff will have to first look through the personal bankers who would have the lending limits to suit the customer needs, then the location, and then finally they go over to the Google Calendar and see what free time slot there is. So this is actually one of our very first proof of concept apps, and it gave me the opportunity to try using the Google Calendar API. And with that, along with data from actually the lending limit app that I just talked about and our branch directory data, we're able to create a single search screen where now all the staff member has to do is select what products the customer needs, what branch they're going to go to, and what date. And it automatically finds all the free time slots and the right personal banker that matches the search criteria. And from the app, they can book the appointment, and that's done for them. The last use case that's very common in our business is workflow, which I'm sure many people encounter. And so how do we effectively and efficiently move work and information from one team to another? And in the past, this involves a lot of email, of attachments, of spreadsheets, or documents of information. So this loan review is a great example. It used to be in a spreadsheet, and the reviews are actually done by a team who answers a series of questions, and there are actually hundreds of possible responses and comments based on what they have answered. And so you can imagine with the spreadsheet, this is actually very hard to maintain. And there's app scripting in the past to help them manage it a bit better, but still not the best solution. So they approached me and asked, what can we do better? And I said, AppMaker is definitely a great solution for you. So with it, they built an interface that's easier to use to manage and do their questionnaire. In addition, there is a step after the review to email all this out to back to the lenders and the managers for review, which used to be a PDF that have to generate. Now with app scripting, that email goes out automatically. The app automatically picks out what reviews are ready to be sent, send them out, mark them as sent, and that's all they have to do. And in addition, the data is actually fed into Data Studio, where now they can have meaningful reporting and a live dashboard of what's going on.
Yeah, there is a last app that's my favorite.
Yes, this is actually one of my favorite too. This is also another workflow example, and it's a very common use case. And I actually use this as an education use case for when I train people. And this is our foreign current cash purchase sale scenario where our frontline team member takes a request from a customer, they enter some information, and our back-end banking operations team fulfills it. Again, email, spreadsheets, that's been done a long time, not very efficient. So with this app, which is still in development, and we're hoping to launch it soon, the user can just come in, enter the request, they can track it. And the nice thing with AppMaker, we can add things like live exchange rate fetching. So it reads off our live atb.com website to get the right rates at the right time. And again, removing that manual step away from our team members so he can actually do more work efficiently.
Thank you, Cleo. Let's hear from Katrine about what Veolia have been doing with AppMaker.
Yes, okay. I will have to give you a bit of context about a project Veolia launched 1 year ago. It's a big company project to accelerate the digital transformation of Veolia, and it's called SATAWAD for Secure Anytime, Anywhere, Any Device. So it means that you will access your work environment from a simple internet access at any time from anywhere, for example, when you're at home or traveling. A web browser. In Veolia, we have chosen to use Chromebooks. That means that if we can do it with the Chromebooks, we can do it with any device. Another goal of SATAWAD is to improve team working and collaboration. It was already done with G Suite. Veolia is on G Suite tools for 5 years about. And finally, security. Because if you have your data on your PC, of course you have some risk. Your PC can be stolen, you can have a ransomware, you can have a crash. If your data are on the cloud, on Google Cloud, they are safe in security, and you won't have to use antiviruses or patch management. So it's better also for security. A main part of the challenge of SATAWAD was to have all the application accessible through internet, of course, and this is where we created the application transformation team. This is because a large part of the applications were user applications based on Microsoft Office program, a lot of Excel files with VBA or Access programs, and we had to find a team dedicated to really develop these applications very close to the users, to understand their needs, their constraints, their use cases, and it was key for the adoption of the project.
So, are you going to tell us about one of the apps that you built?
Yes, so the application is an application made by people from the technical department of Veolia. They are engineers from the water treatment, and they have developed a new sludge treatment process, which is called OLEIS. And the application OLEIS detect if the plant is eligible to this new process and measures how much savings they can do with the new process. So in the video we will launch just after, we will see one of the engineers, Jean-Pierre. He will present the application after and before.
Bonjour, je suis Jean-Pierre Savret-Radjalou, je travaille à la direction technique et performance. Mon rôle est de m'occuper du développement et du déploiement d'applications de calcul scientifique essentiellement au sein de la DTP. Et aujourd'hui, je vais vous parler de l'application OLEIS. Alors OLEIS, c'est quoi? C'est un nouveau procédé concernant la déshydratation d'égouts. Et en vue d'accompagner le déploiement de cette nouvelle technologie, la direction technique et performance a développé un logiciel qui permet de déterminer si ce procédé est ou non éligible. Donc avec l'équipe SATAWAD, nous avons transformé ce logiciel initialement conçu au format Excel avec l'utilisation du code VBA en application web sous la technologie Google AppMaker. La version initiale de l'application ELIS a été réalisée sous Microsoft Excel. L'utilisateur doit saisir les caractéristiques de son usine pour déterminer si elle est ou non éligible pour le procédé ELIS. Par exemple, la capacité d'usine, le type de procédé utilisé. Et en fonction de ces choix, le logiciel détermine si son usine est ou pas éligible pour l'application ELIS. La nouvelle application ELIS réalisée sous Google App Maker présente une interface plus élaborée et l'apport de nouvelles fonctionnalités. Par exemple, l'export vers le REX ou le partage des simulations entre utilisateurs. Autre nouvelle fonctionnalité apportée par la nouvelle version de l'application ELIS, la gestion des utilisateurs. Donc dans cet écran, nous avons la liste des utilisateurs qui sont autorisés à utiliser l'application ELIS. Donc je peux modifier les droits d'accès d'un utilisateur. Par exemple, lui donner ou pas des droits administrateurs. Je peux également supprimer un utilisateur et voir donc de différentes informations concernant un utilisateur. Par exemple, le poste, son entité, son pays, sa région. Les trois principaux points apportés par SataWatt sont donc le mode de diffusion simplifié de l'application, la protection du savoir métier contenu dans le logiciel et de nouvelles fonctionnalités impossibles à réaliser sans l'apport de SataWatt. Par exemple, le retour d'expérience, la capitalisation de ce retour d'expérience en particulier.
This is one example of what we have done. We have other business applications that we redeveloped in AppMaker. For example, another one with EcoCool, you can calculate and measure the savings of cooling towers. This is in the domain of the energy services.
Can you tell us what was the reaction of your users to this app?
Well, as you have seen, Jean-Pierre was very happy with his new application. And I will insist on what he highlighted. For example, the sharing, it's really more easy to share the application now. Before they had an Excel file, they had to make a copy of the Excel file and send it by email. It was really heavy. The second point is the protection of the know-how of the business. It was complicated to do with the Excel file, with passwords, and it's not possible with Google Sheets, because if you are an editor of the Google Sheet, you can copy the know-how. And the last point was about, I don't remember, Jean-Pierre, come back. Well, anyway, another thing which is important with AppMaker is that those people they like developing their own application by themselves. They used to do it with Excel and VBA, so they are happy to have AppMakers so that they can continue to develop by themselves. They are autonomous on this.
Cool. Cleo, what were your main challenges when developing apps with AppMaker?
So the main challenge is how to educate and train our very large non-technical user base into using AppMaker to solve their problems. So in general, people, once they know the capabilities of AppMaker, the next question is, awesome, how can I do this? And so without that software development background, AppMaker does make it very easy for someone to make apps and build apps. But in general, we started off with doing some events like YouTube Lives and in-person workshop to really walk them through the different steps. And I created tools and resources such as videos and documentation. I even created a 5-step framework, which is a little different from your 5-step. It's define your scope, design your application, build it, test it, and then deploy and iterate. And so with that, giving them a framework to get whoever wants to build apps to get started. And then finally, we built that community of other app makers, other people who are more well-versed in app scripting or app making to come together to help beginners by answering questions, sharing their success story, and so forth. And in general, with our Work Reimagine initiative, we have this we have this ongoing cultural shift of becoming digital bank, having everyone increase their digital proficiency. So in general, that's a great thing for this app maker learning because people are eager to learn and people are eager to change. So once you have people with eager mindset, it just helps get over that learning hurdle a lot better.
One thing I really liked in both of your apps is that they're branded as if they're your company apps. So was that a big challenge to get through?
No, not for us anyway. We're proud of our brand and we show that off.
Yes, in Veolia, I can tell for every entities because some of them maybe will have another strategy, but for the corporate entities, we will keep a philosophy of citizen developers. That means people, not mandatory IT, will develop and run their own applications. So administrator will have very few support to do on this. But it doesn't mean that they will be alone. Some people in this room are very involved in the community to share some best practices, to share some templates with Veolia graphic shelters, to give best practices and diffusing them, answering questions. So in the community, we already have more than 100 members, and it's still growing. And during the SATAWAT program, we trained more than 70 people. So there are a lot of people who are autonomous to build their own application. And we already have about 50 projects using Cloud SQL. The challenge for our administrator is to have a clear visibility of who is using what, because we are working with Google to improve this. It's not completely clear currently to have this visibility, so I hope it will be improved later.
What's next for you with AppMaker? How do you see your use cases and initiatives evolve?
Okay, well, for the application transformation team, we still have some application to redevelop in AppMaker, but there is not only application transformation. The SATAWAT project has been launched for other entities in Veolia, other countries, so they will have to redevelop their own applications, and probably they will use AppMaker because there is a great interest in AppMaker. And through the community, we also see that some people are interested in developing new application in AppMaker. So I guess the usage of AppMaker is going to grow in Veolia. Maybe we will talk about this next year if you invite me.
Sure. Yeah, what's happening next at ATB with AppMaker?
Yeah, so the learning continues. We're still got quite a bit of momentum. Actually, last month we ran an AppMaker challenge where we had 56 team members came in for a day and tackle on a couple of business problems using AppMakers, and their skill ranges from beginners to experts. And as you know, as the knowledge grows, we'll be tackling more and more difficult problems. We still have things that are still in like Excel and Access database that we'd like to get onto the cloud and on G Suite. And yeah, so the community will be a big part of driving that. And I know, you know, like just last week, a group was thinking about getting an app developed, and they're already talking things like, what if we throw another AppMaker challenge type thing and invite people to just come and tackle our business problems? So I'm sure we'll just continue churning out apps as needed.
So last question to both of you, like, do you have any like good piece of advice to our audience here? What to do with AppMaker in their companies?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the biggest learning is AppMaker is still a low-code development. It's low-code, but there's still coding required. So there's a bit of hurdle that beginners have to go through. So having that support for these beginners to get them through that really helps. But then with that also, once they know what's possible, sometimes you almost have to teach them to scale back their scope a little sometimes, because they're like, ooh, you can do all this, can I do that now? But you know, with AppMaker, you want to build things fast, you want to build things quick, and you know, get them out, test them, and so forth. So you don't want to, you know, you want the team member to be kind of stuck in trying to do a lot of things, you know, the point is to get it out sooner, get smaller apps out there, make a big impact, and then incrementally build more. So I think, just kind of teaching the entire kind of software development and agile mindset and, continuing to grow is kind of a helpful way to get people going.
Your advice?
Yes, I have the same one, of course, because really it's easy to develop with AppMaker. You can really build fast and deploy fast and fail fast and success fast. And also I will have another advice because it's still a young solution. We don't have a lot of visibility on statistics, for example. So I would advise people to stay to use AppMaker for non-complex or moderately complex or lightweight development. And if they have strategic or complex development to do, they should still use IT teams and support with SLAs and things like that.
Thank you to our two panelists. Before we head to our Q&A, I want to give you a preview of what the AppMaker team is working on. First, we know that it takes too long to preview and publish apps, and to initially load bigger apps. We will expedite these flows and also reduce OAuth prompts where possible. Next, we know that many of you, and Veolia included, would like to build apps that run on any device in the same way that you build apps for desktop. While we work on introducing responsive app design and mobile-specific widgets, we will provide responsive samples to import and support viewport editing and canvas breakpoints in the interim. We've heard from many of you that you would like to make apps built by AppMaker available to users who don't have a G Suite business seat, and even to use apps such as help desk data entry to collect input from users that don't even have a G Suite seat at all in your domain. So we are looking at ways to achieve that, and we'll update in the next few quarters when we reach a decision around this. We are exploring ways to assist in identifying app gaps in your company. For example, analyzing repetitive use of a sheet and proposing to build an app based on the sheet with appropriate data models and UI design to choose from. This approach will ultimately bring to creating more useful apps more easily and faster, and it will leave more time for some developers to work on more complex AppMaker apps that potentially may use AI and other services that will be available.